Okay, it's the right time to use our hands now, and I'll show you the kneading method number 1. You hold the dough with one hand from the edge, then you use the other hand, the heel of your hand. You grab one side and you roll the dough across. You push it forward and you roll it back. Back and forth, back and forth. As you can see, right now it's still a little bit sticky, so we need to be patient. Since the dough becomes a little bit longer, you need to rotate it on the other side. So you keep it from here, for example, then you use your hand. As you can see, as I said, is sticky. Like this. You repeat it again and again. You have to push firmly, but don't go too hard. Don't put too much strength. Use lots of love. Because if you push too hard, this is what happens. Now I have a little bit more flour left over on my container. I use it to prevent from sticking. Now I think this is the most common method. Many people use it, but I don't really like it for a couple of reasons. When you do this movement, the movement I described, when you keep stretching and rolling back, can you see here? I made a hole. Maybe it's just because it's me, of course, but I feel this is pretty common. Can you see here? It's ripping. You basically roll back your dough and you rip it again. You need to be way more careful. It's a little bit aggressive, if you know what I mean, and I feel there is not too much love inside. When we build the dough, we also need to incorporate some air inside it. Air is important because yeast needs it for its life cycle. Now, as long as there is air, yeast will reproduce and duplicate itself. I don't want to geek out too much. By the way, I think that this kneading method is not really the best way to incorporate a good amount of air into the dough, unless you knead for a decent amount of time. Of course, the more you work, the more the dough comes together. It's becoming less and less sticky, but you know, it takes time. After around 10 minutes, it's not ripping anymore when I do the described movement, but it took me my sweet time. I feel this kind of technique is better suited for less hydrated dough, when there is a little bit less water than my usual recipe. I can feel that it's almost ready, so I can roll my dough ball. Let me show you the second method, which is the one I use every time. Personally, I feel more comfortable with it, and I think it's not subject to the problem I mentioned for the previous method, the ripping and the incorporation of air. Once again, I will skip this part. Okay, we start kneading more or less at the same point. Compared to the previous dough, it's still shabby, you know, it rips quite easily. I just fold one edge toward the middle, rotate, and fold the edge towards the middle. I keep rotating and folding, rotating and folding. Again, I don't push very hard. I am kind of delicate because the folding itself, it's enough. And when the dough comes together a little bit more, when you fold, you can also roll slightly across. There is always a point when you feel the dough is sticky, as you can see. But it doesn't matter, because the more you knead, the more the flour will be hydrated and less sticky overall. Now, of course, I'm more comfortable with this method, so I'm also quicker compared to the previous method I showed you. By the way, I feel it's kind of quicker anyway. for anybody who does it, just because it involves less manipulation somehow and probably less aggressive manipulation. At this point, after I think around 4 minutes, I can tell that the dough is already getting together. Of course, it needs more handling, more work, because it's still a little bit sticky. And I feel it's almost done. The two techniques we've seen so far involve a continuous manipulation of the dough. We handle it over and over and wait for the magic of water and flour to happen. You notice that the more we knead, the more the dough comes together, becomes consistent and nice and smooth. Very often I'm asked questions about kneading methods, be it during my workshops or simply by message, comments, whatever. I feel that there are two questions in particular that arise more often than others. First one is, which method is best? In my opinion, there is no best method, because as long as you manage to achieve the final purpose of kneading, that is to build gluten, then you're all set. Who cares how you do it? I remember once I attended a masterclass and the teacher used a scraper to literally cut the dough continuously and put it back together. It worked. I didn't like it, but it worked. So if you want to knead your dough by throwing it against the wall, go for it, do it, come up with your own special method, so this video becomes completely useless. But since you made it this far, I think that a thumbs up would be a good idea. You will give me support for free, it costs you nothing. The second question I'm asked every time is, how do I know when I'm done kneading? I always say that the dough itself will tell you. It will give you 3 clues. It will not be tacky anymore, so you can pass your hand on the surface and it won't stick. The filling will be smooth. I don't want to say dry, but rest assured that the messy, sticky thing we start with will not be there anymore, which leads to the second clue. You see that the dough is actually smooth. There are no cracks, rips, and the surface is continuous. The third clue is for me more important. It's the poke test. You gently push your finger on the surface of your dough. If it bounces back promptly, then the dough is ready, otherwise you need some more elbow grease. A little curious piece of info for you: we professional pizza makers look for something we call punto di pasta. I can roughly translate it as dough point, which is basically a combination of the 3 things I told you so far. It's not that we poke the dough, but we look at it, we definitely touch it. We also listen to it while it spins in the machine. Ultimately, we feel it. If you want to be the coolest in the city, then go for the window pane test. I got a quick video for you, although I never use this method. I feel it's not really important. What if you don't like kneading? What if you really can't find your way, if you don't feel good about it? Well, then you should try the third method, aptly called no knead. Allegedly, it was invented by mistake by a Scottish nutritionist in the 1940s, but I think it's well known today. Although most people use it when they make high hydration dough, like the one I shared a while back, it works for any dough thanks to the logic behind it. Let's see it. With the no knead technique, we don't build gluten by manipulating the dough, but we do it with a few series of weights and folds repeated over time. So when we do the first mix, we just cover the dough and leave it there for 15-20 minutes. After 15-20 minutes, we wet our hands and fold the dough on itself. This is called stretch and fold, and we will do 2 rounds. You stretch the edge, you fold it in the middle, then you cover the dough and wait another 15-20 minutes. To understand this process, we need to know something about the chemistry of the dough. Gluten is composed of 2 proteins that bind together when the flour touches the water. In order to create this bond, those proteins need energy, and we just gave the dough hours with the first manipulation and the folds. Every time we repeat the cycle of weights and folds, we give the dough more energy, and then we give it more time to use that energy and build more gluten. Now we wet our surface and we will do 2 rounds of slap and fold 15-20 minutes apart from each other. You slap and you fold. Then on the other side you slap and you fold. Again, we need to wet our hand and do some more rounds of slap and fold. After the last cycle, the dough will be perfectly ready, as you can see. Look how smooth the gluten is now and elastic. Very often I'm asked questions about kneading methods, be it during my workshops or simply like fai